Tartarus devoured every species that set foot on its cursed surface until the humans arrived. The planet's poisonous air, raging storms, and vicious predators had slaughtered countless alien settlers, cementing the planet's status as a death world. Adam Porter, seasoned human explorer, knew the risks, but as his landing craft punched through the turbulent atmosphere, he had no clue his mission would incite an interstellar war. From their orbital citadel, the Iconians watched, waiting for the humans to perish like all the rest. Commander Wazin sneered, relishing the chance to witness the annihilation of yet another lesser species. But Tartarus held one surprise the arrogant aliens never anticipated: human tenacity. Against all odds, the human pioneers thrived, transforming Tartarus's lethal wilds into a sustainable colony. They erected reinforced shelters, crafted armor to withstand the searing acid rain, and turned the planet's bestial horrors into a bountiful food source. Their success was undeniable, and it terrified the Iconians to the core. Wheezin seethed as reports of the human foothold flooded in. The conquest of this infamous death world could shift the balance of galactic power, and the Iconians' vice grip on known space would falter. Fueled by fear and centuries of unchallenged supremacy, Wazin vowed to scour humanity from the planet at any cost. Iconian warships rained fire upon the fledgling settlement, their advanced weaponry carving molten scars in the tortured earth. The colonists fought back, matching the alien onslaught with pure grit and the kind of defiant innovation only humans could muster. But as casualties mounted and supplies dwindled, one truth became inescapable. If the colony fell, so fell humanity's place among the stars. Now, caught between hostile invaders and a planet that wanted them dead, Adam and his people faced a battle for the ages. The Iconian war machine embodied the crushing force of an empire, cold and unyielding, but the human spirit proved its own kind of weapon. Forged in the crucible of Tartarus, the settlers stood united, ready to sacrifice everything to carve out a future for their species. Two civilizations, one young and bold, the other ancient and proud, collided on this unlikely battlefield. And as the Iconian armada pressed in, their arrival heralded more than a fight for survival. It ignited a war that would redefine the cosmos. On the surface of Tartarus, the future of worlds would be decided. The only question was, which side would be left standing? As the Iconian warships descended upon Tartarus like a swarm of angry locusts, Adam Porter sprang into action. He barked orders left and right, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Jack, take your team and fortify our habitats. We need those shields up yesterday," Adam shouted over the din of alarms and panicked shouts. Jack Hawkins, the colony's most resourceful engineer, nodded grimly and gathered his crew. They raced off to bolster their defenses, determined to give the Iconians a taste of human ingenuity. Meanwhile, Adam rallied his pilots. "Listen up. We're the only thing standing between those Iconian bastards and our people. We draw their fire, buy time for the evacuation. Got it?" The pilots, a ragtag bunch of daredevils and hotshots, grinned fiercely. They were itching for a fight. The colony's makeshift fleet of armed shuttles roared to life, engines screaming as they hurtled towards the Iconian warships. The first wave of enemy fire lit up the sky, plasma cannons belching destruction. Human outposts vanished in blinding flashes of light, reduced to molten slag. But the humans had a few tricks up their sleeves. Their adaptive shielding, cobbled together from scavenged tech, held fast against the onslaught. The Iconians faltered, surprised by the resilience of their prey. Adam saw his opening. "Hit 'em hard! Hit 'em fast!" he roared, leading his pilots in a daring counterattack. They wove through the towering rock formations of Tartarus, using the treacherous terrain to their advantage. The Iconian ships, built for open space combat, struggled to keep up. On the ground, Jack and his team worked feverishly. They erected energy barriers and camouflaged bunkers, drawing on hard-won lessons from surviving on this hellish world. When Iconian ground troops landed, armed to the teeth and hungry for blood, They found themselves in a nightmarish labyrinth of ambushes and booby traps. The humans fought like demons, using guerrilla tactics and their intimate knowledge of the environment to even the odds. They struck from the shadows, picking off Iconian soldiers one by one. The battle raged, a brutal dance of death across the surface of Tartarus. In the midst of the chaos, Adam's comm crackled to life. An unfamiliar voice, thick with urgency, filled his ear. "Commander Porter, I am Altair of the Iconian Progressives. We must speak." Adam's eyes narrowed. An Iconian, reaching out in the middle of a battle? It smelled like a trap, but Altair's next words gave him pause. "There are those among us who oppose this war. We see your people's success here as a chance for change. I offer you valuable intel on Iconian weaknesses and battle plans, but I need your help in return." Adam's mind raced. Trust an Iconian defector? It was a gamble, but with his people dying by the minute, what choice did he have? "What's your price, Altair?" Adam growled, already dreading the answer. "Asylum. For myself and my fellow progressives. Aid us, and we'll aid you." Adam cursed under his breath. The colony was barely holding together, and now this. But the promise of inside information, of a chink in the Iconian armor, was too tempting to ignore. As the colony's defenses crumbled under the relentless assault, Adam made his decision. "All right, Altair, you've got a deal. Now, what have you got for me?" The Iconian's reply was swift. "I'm sending you codes to access our flagship security systems. Use them to infiltrate the vessel, capture Commander Wezin, and you could force a ceasefire." Adam's heart pounded. A desperate plan, but it might just work. He gathered his best fighters, a hand-picked squad of the toughest, meanest bastards the colony had to offer. Using Altair's stolen codes, they slipped aboard the Iconian flagship like ghosts. But the enemy was waiting for them. Wezin's elite guard, the best of the best, stood between them and their target. All hell broke loose. Adam and his team fought like wildcats, blasting their way through the ship's defenses. They left a trail of broken bodies and sparking wreckage in their wake. On the bridge, Adam and Wezin locked eyes. The Iconian commander snarled, drawing his blade. Adam answered with a savage grin, his own weapon leaping into his hand. They clashed in a whirlwind of steel and fury, two warriors locked in a dance of death. Around them, the battle for Tartarus reached a fever pitch. The fate of the colony, of the expedition, of two civilizations hung in the balance. And there, on the blood-soaked deck of an alien warship, Adam Porter and Commander Wezin fought for the future of worlds. Adam's chest heaved as he stood over the fallen Iconian commander. Blood dripped from a gash above his eye, but he paid it no mind. Wezin lay prone on the deck, his alien features twisted in a grimace of pain and disbelief. "It's over," Adam growled, pressing his boot against Wezin's chest. "Call off your attack. Now." Wezin snarled, but Adam increased the pressure. "Do it, or I'll broadcast every dirty secret your progressives told me across the galaxy." The Iconian's eyes widened. With trembling hands, he activated his comm device. "All ships, stand down. Cease fire immediately." Adam watched the view screen as the Iconian fleet halted their assault. He tapped his own communicator. "This is Porter. We've got Wezin. Hold positions and prepare for evac." Within hours, Adam and his team were back on Tartarus, their alien prisoner in tow. The colonists emerged from their shelters, blinking in the harsh light of their world. Smoke rose from craters where Iconian weapons had struck, but many of their reinforced structures still stood. Jack Hawkins approached, his face streaked with grime. "We lost the hydroponics bay and half our power grid, but we're still standing." Adam nodded grimly. "Get repair teams working around the clock. We need to be ready in case they come back." Days passed as the colony rebuilt. Adam spent hours interrogating Wezin, probing for answers. The Iconian's arrogance slowly gave way to a grudging respect. "You don't understand," Wezin said during one session. "Our empire has stood for millennia. We've seen species rise and fall. Your success here, it threatens everything." Adam leaned forward. You're afraid of change. Weezin looked away. Perhaps. As word of the human victory spread, ships from a dozen alien races appeared in orbit. Some came offering trade, others seeking alliances. Adam found himself thrust into the role of diplomat, navigating a minefield of competing interests. One day, a sleek vessel touched down outside the colony. Altair, leader of the Iconian progressives, stepped out with his followers. "We seek refuge," Altair said, bowing his head, "and we offer our knowledge in return." Adam studied the alien, remembering the crucial intel that had turned the tide of battle. He extended his hand. "Welcome to Tartarus." The progressives integrated quickly, sharing advanced technology that accelerated the colony's growth. But with each passing day, tension grew. Reports filtered in of Iconian warships gathering at the edge of the system. Adam stood atop the colony's new watchtower, gazing at the stars. The weight of leadership pressed down on him. He had to protect his people, but he also saw an opportunity to reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. A young colonist approached. "Sir, we've detected more ships entering the system. They're not Iconian." Adam nodded, his lips pursed. Whatever came next, humanity would face it head-on. They had conquered Tartarus itself. Now they would take their place among the stars. The stars above Tartarus. Adam Porter stood atop the colony's new watchtower, his eyes scanning the horizon. The air crackled with tension. Reports of Iconian ships gathering near their borders had everyone on edge. He turned as Altair approached, the progressive leader's face etched with concern. "We need a new strategy, Adam. Our current defenses won't hold against a full-scale assault." Adam nodded grimly. "I've been thinking the same thing. What if we combine our strengths? A joint defense force, humans and progressives fighting side by side." Altair's eyes lit up, bold, unexpected. It might just work. They spent hours hammering out the details. When they emerged from the command center, a new plan was in motion. Jack Hawkins wiped sweat from his brow as he oversaw construction of the military complex. Human welders worked alongside Iconian engineers, fusing alien alloys with earthborn steel. "How's it coming, Jack?" Adam called out as he approached. Jack grinned. "You won't believe what we've cooked up, boss. These new plasma cannons pack twice the punch of our old stuff, and the shield generators, well, let's just say the Iconians won't know what hit them." Meanwhile, in a cleared area outside the colony, Adam put the newly formed Tartarus Guard through their paces. Humans and progressives moved as one, honing their skills in mock battles against holographic Iconian troops. "Again!" Adam barked. "Rodriguez, watch your left flank. Tazin, tighten up that formation." Days turned to weeks. The Tartarus Guard took shape, a lethal force unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. But even as they prepared, danger loomed. Marcus Trent's scout ship limped back to Tartarus, scorch marks marring its hull. His face was grim as he delivered his report. "It's worse than we thought," Marcus said, pulling up grainy images on the monitor. "They're building something big out there, some kind of battle station." Adam's blood ran cold as he studied the massive structure taking shape in orbit. If that thing comes online... "We're dead," Altair finished. The decision was made in moments. They had to strike first. The skies above Tartarus erupted in chaos. Human fighters wove between progressive cruisers, dodging Iconian plasma fire. The battle station loomed ahead, a dark colossus dripping with weapons. On the bridge of the lead ship, Adam gripped the command console. "All units, engage! Tartarus Guard, you're clear for insertion." Marcus Trent led his team through the station's labyrinthine corridors. Alarms blared as they fought their way deeper, leaving a trail of broken Iconian defenders in their wake. "There!" Marcus shouted, spotting the reactor core. "Plant the charges and let's get the hell out of here!" Outside, the tide of battle turned. Iconian reinforcements poured in, threatening to overwhelm the Tartarus forces. "We're out of time!" Adam's voice crackled over the comm. "Marcus, status." "Charges set," Marcus panted. "Evacuating now." The Tartarus Guard fell back, racing for their ships as the station's reactor went critical. A blinding flash lit up space, followed by a shockwave that rocked every vessel in the system. On the planet's surface, colonists watched in horror as debris rained from the sky. Buildings toppled. Fires spread. When the dust settled, Adam emerged from the rubble to survey the devastation. Jack limped up, his face streaked with ash. "We did it, boss. But at what cost?" Adam's fists tight as he looked out over the ruins of their hard-won home. They'd struck a blow against the Iconians, but the real fight was just beginning. "Get everyone together," he said. "We've got a lot of work to do." As night fell on Tartarus, Adam knew the Iconians would return, and when they did, they'd be out for blood. Adam Porter stood in the dimly lit cavern, his eyes adjusting to the eerie glow of bioluminescent fungi clinging to the rock walls. The air hung heavy with the scent of damp earth and ionized minerals. Around him, the remnants of humanity on Tartarus worked tirelessly, transforming the alien underground into a bastion of survival. "Status report," Adam barked, his voice echoing through the cavern. Jack Hawkins approached, wiping sweat from his brow. "We've got the primary life support systems online, but power's still inconsistent. We're cannibalizing what we could salvage from the surface, but it's not enough." Adam nodded, his fists tight. "And the civilians?" "Scared, but holding together. We've got everyone working in shifts to expand our living space and shore up defenses." A distant rumble shook loose a shower of pebbles from the ceiling. Adam instinctively ducked, then straightened. "Iconians?" Jack shook his head. "Seismic activity. This planet never stops trying to kill us." As if to punctuate his point, a piercing shriek echoed through a nearby tunnel. Both men tensed, hands moving to their weapons. "Another nest of those cave crawlers," Jack muttered. "I'll send a team to clear them out." Adam grabbed his arm. "No, we can't afford to lose anyone else. I'll handle it myself." Before Jack could protest, Adam was moving, his boots crunching on the uneven stone floor. He paused at the mouth of the tunnel, activating his helmet's night vision. The world turned a sickly green as he peered into the darkness. Something skittered in the shadows. Adam raised his pulse rifle, finger hovering over the trigger. A shape lunged at him, all claws and teeth and leathery wings. He fired, the muzzle flash briefly illuminating the horror show of alien anatomy. The creature fell, twitching, but where there was one, there were always more. Adam retreated, backing towards the main cavern. "Jack, seal this tunnel now!" Sparks flew as emergency bulkheads slammed shut, cutting off the alien shrieks. Adam leaned against the wall, heart pounding. This was their new reality, constantly fighting just to carve out a space to exist. In the command center, little more than a hollowed-out alcove filled with salvaged equipment, Altair hunched over a holo display. The Progressive's features were drawn with fatigue and worry. "The Iconians have established a perimeter around the old colony site," Altair reported as Adam entered. "They're methodically expanding their search pattern." Adam studied the tactical overlay. "How long before they start looking underground?" Altair's expression darkened. "Not long. They know we're here somewhere." A commotion near the main entrance drew their attention. Marcus Trent stumbled in, his stealth suit torn and bloodied. Two of his team supported him, looking little better. "Report," Adam demanded, rushing to meet them. Marcus coughed, spitting blood. "Mission accomplished. We hit their staging area hard, took out at least 3 capital ships and a dozen fighters." Adam clasped the man's shoulder. "Good work. Get to medical, all of you." As Marcus was led away, Adam turned back to the holo display. The Iconian forces were momentarily in disarray, but it wouldn't last. They needed to use this precious time. "Altair, how are we coming on those deep scanners?" The Progressive tapped a few commands, bringing up a new overlay. "We've mapped out several promising cavern systems. If we can establish a network of outposts, we might be able to stay ahead of the Iconians indefinitely." Adam nodded, his mind racing. "Start moving our non-essential personnel deeper. We'll use this main hub as a decoy if we have to." He turned to address the bustling command center. Listen up. I want strike teams ready to move out in 6 hours. We're going to start hit-and-run attacks on Iconian search parties. Keep them guessing. Keep them scared. A cheer went up from the assembled humans and progressives. Adam allowed himself a grim smile. They were battered, outnumbered, and fighting an enemy with superior technology. But they had one advantage the Iconians couldn't match: the sheer, stubborn will to survive. As the preparations began, Adam found a quiet corner and activated his personal comm. The scarred face of Wezin, their Iconian prisoner, appeared on the small screen. "I hope you're comfortable," Adam said, his voice cold, "because you're going to tell me everything you know about Iconian search and destroy tactics. And if you lie to me, I'll make sure your progressive friends pay the price." Wezin glared back, hatred burning in his alien eyes. But Adam saw something else there too: fear. Good. Fear would keep the Iconian honest. The battle for Tartarus was nowhere near the end, but deep in the planet's treacherous bowels, humanity was adapting, evolving, becoming something new and dangerous. The Iconians had no idea what they were in for. The caverns of New Prometheus hummed with activity as Adam Porter strode through the bustling hydroponics bay. Rows of nutrient-rich plants stretched as far as the eye could see, bathed in the soft glow of artificial sunlight. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and growing things. "How's production?" Adam asked, pausing to examine a cluster of ripe tomatoes. Jack Hawkins looked up from his datapad, dark circles under his eyes. "We're at 85% efficiency. The new geothermal taps are working wonders for power distribution." Adam nodded, his fingers brushing against the smooth surface of the fruit. "Good. We'll need every calorie we can get." As they walked, the cavern walls seemed to press in on them, a constant reminder of their subterranean existence. Pipes and conduits snaked along the ceiling, carrying precious water and power throughout the sprawling network of tunnels and chambers that made up New Prometheus. In the command center, Altair hunched over a holographic display, his alien features etched with concern. "Adam, we have a problem," he said as they entered. The hologram flickered, showing a map of the surface. Red dots swarmed across it like angry insects. "Iconian search patterns have intensified. They're getting closer to discovering our location." Adam's expression resolute. "What about Wezin? Has he talked?" "Nothing," Jack spat. "The bastard's tougher than we thought." A distant rumble shook dust from the ceiling. Adam's hand instinctively went to his sidearm. "Another quake?" Altair shook his head, his eyes wide. "No, something's happening on the surface." The hologram shifted, showing a live feed from their few remaining surface sensors. The sky above Tartarus boiled with sickly green clouds. Flashes of unnatural lightning arced between them. "By the stars," Altair whispered. "They've done it. They've unleashed the bioweapon." Adam's blood ran cold. He grabbed the comm unit. "Marcus, report. What's happening up there?" Static crackled, then Marcus's voice came through, strained and breathless. "We've got Vikara, but, Adam, it's bad. They've launched the warheads. The whole planet's going to hell." Alarms blared throughout New Prometheus. Adam's mind raced. "Jack, get to the shield generators. Reroute every ounce of power we've got. Altair, I need options. How do we stop this?" As they scrambled to action, Adam felt the weight of an entire civilization pressing down on his shoulders. The battle for Tartarus had just become a fight for survival itself. In the depths of New Prometheus, panic spread like wildfire. Colonists ran through the tunnels, clutching whatever possessions they could carry. Children cried, their wails echoing off the stone walls. Adam's voice boomed over the loudspeakers. "This is not a drill. All non-essential personnel, proceed to the lower levels immediately. This is not—" His words were cut off as the cavern shook violently. Cracks spiderwebbed across the ceiling, raining debris onto the fleeing crowd. In the shield control room, Jack worked furiously, his fingers flying over the controls. "Come on, you piece of junk," he muttered. The readouts flashed red, warning klaxons screaming for attention. Altair burst in, his usual composure shattered. The mutagenic particles are seeping through the upper levels. We can't hold them back much longer. Jack hit his fist on the console. We need more power! Adam's voice crackled over the comm. You've got it. I'm shutting down life support in the upper sectors. It'll buy us some time. As the power surged into the shields, the onslaught from above intensified. The very rock around them seemed to groan under the strain. In the command center, Adam stared at the sensor readouts, watching as the green tide of mutation crept ever closer to their sanctuary. He knew the choice before him: stay and face certain doom, or plunge even deeper into the unknown depths of Tartarus. With a heavy heart, he keyed the evacuation code. This is Adam Porter to all citizens of New Prometheus. Abandon the upper levels. I repeat, abandon the upper levels. We're going deeper. As the last of the colonists filed into the lower tunnels, Adam took one final look at the city they had built. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he sealed the blast doors, cutting off New Prometheus from the advancing storm of mutation. In the darkness of the deep caverns, surrounded by the frightened masses of humanity, Adam Porter faced the greatest challenge of his life. The battle for Tartarus had only just begun, and the fate of his people hung in the balance. Adam Porter's boots crunched on loose gravel as he led the desperate column of survivors deeper into Tartarus's uncharted depths. The narrow tunnel walls pressed in on all sides, slick with moisture and alien fungi. Behind him, the ragged breathing and shuffling feet of hundreds of colonists echoed off the stone. Jack, what's our status? Adam called out, his voice tight with exhaustion. Jack Hawkins hunched over a handheld scanner, its blue glow illuminating his sweat-streaked face. We're making progress, but these tunnels are a maze. Every time I think I've got a fix on a suitable cavern, we hit another dead end. A woman's scream pierced the air, followed by the sickening crunch of falling rock. Adam spun around, his heart racing. Everyone, hold position. He pushed his way through the crowd to find a section of ceiling had given way, nearly crushing a young mother and her child. The woman clutched her son, both covered in dust, but mercifully unharmed. We can't keep going like this, Jack said, his voice low. The deeper we go, the more unstable it gets. Adam nodded grimly. We don't have a choice. You heard those last transmissions from the surface. That bioweapon is turning everything up there into a nightmare. As if to underscore his point, a distant rumble shook the cavern, sending a cascade of pebbles raining down on the huddled colonists. Panic rippled through the group. Listen up! Adam's voice cut through the frightened murmurs. I know you're scared. I know you're tired. But we can't give up now. Every step we take is another chance at survival. Now, let's move. With new hope, the convoy pressed on. Hours blended together in the timeless dark of the tunnels. Just as exhaustion threatened to overwhelm them, Jack's scanner let out a piercing beep. I've got something, he exclaimed. A massive cavern, at least a kilometer across. And the readings... Adam, I think this might be what we're looking for. Hope surged through Adam's veins. How far? Less than half a kilometer, but... Jack's face fell. There's a problem. A chasm between us and the cavern. I'm not sure how we're going to cross it. Adam set his jaw. We'll find a way. We have to. As they approached the chasm, the sound of rushing water filled the air. Adam's helmet lights revealed a yawning abyss, a subterranean river churning far below. There! Jack pointed to a narrow stone bridge arching across the chasm. It looks artificial. Someone or something built this. Adam studied the ancient structure. Will it hold? Jack ran his scanner over the weathered stone. It should, but we'll need to cross in small groups. Too much weight at once, and the whole thing could come down. Organizing the crossing took precious time they couldn't afford. Adam stood vigil at the far side, watching each group make the perilous journey. Halfway through the evacuation, a blood-curdling screech echoed through the cavern. Cave crawlers! Someone shouted. Adam raised his rifle, peering into the darkness. Glowing eyes reflected his helmet light as a horde of the alien predators swarmed towards the exposed colonists. Jack, get those people moving. Adam opened fire, the muzzle flash illuminating the nightmarish creatures. Their chitinous bodies absorbed shot after shot as they surged forward. In the chaos, a section of the bridge crumbled. A man lost his footing, plummeting towards the raging river below. Without hesitation, Adam dove, catching the colonist's hand at the last second. Muscles straining, he hauled the man back to safety. "Go!" Adam roared, shoving the rescued colonist towards the cavern entrance. He turned back to face the oncoming swarm, determined to buy time for the others to escape. Just as it seemed the cave crawlers would overwhelm them, a familiar voice crackled over Adam's comm. "Cavalry's here, boss. Duck and cover." A sleek Iconian shuttle roared into view, its energy weapons cutting through the horde of alien predators. Marcus Trent's face appeared in the cockpit, grinning despite the blood streaking his face. "Marcus?" Adam couldn't believe his eyes. "How in the hell?" "No time to explain," Marcus cut him off. "We've got a way to stop this nightmare, but we need to move fast. Get your people into that cavern. You're not going to believe what we found down here." As the last of the colonists crossed the failing bridge, Adam allowed himself a moment of hope. They'd survived this far against impossible odds. Whatever challenges lay ahead in the depths of Tartarus, he knew his people would face them head-on. Adam Porter stood atop the command center of New Tartarus City, surveying the skyline he'd helped build over the past few years. The gleaming spires and fortified walls stood as a testament to human resilience, rising from the ashes of their underground struggle. But now, those hard-won achievements trembled under the onslaught of a new threat. Alarms blared as the first Sirath ships breached the atmosphere. Adam's grip tightened on the railing as he watched the alien armada descend, their hull plating pulsing with an eerie blue light. "Jack, what's our shield status?" Adam barked into his comm. Jack Hawkins' voice crackled back, strained but steady. "Holding at 82%, but these plasma bursts are like nothing we've seen before. We can't take this pounding forever." A nearby building erupted in a plume of fire and debris as a Sirath energy blast found its mark. Adam flinched, then steeled himself. "Altair, any progress on cracking their communications?" The former Iconian's alien features were etched with concentration as he hunched over a console. "Negative. Their encryption is beyond anything in my experience. These Sirath are formidable opponents." Adam nodded grimly. "Marcus, how soon can your strike team be ready?" "Give us 10 minutes, Marcus Trent's gruff voice replied. "We've adapted some of the old Iconian stealth tech. It might just get us aboard that flagship." As Marcus and his team prepared for their daring assault, Adam coordinated the city's defenses. Pulse cannons and interceptor drones engaged the Sirath fighters, filling the sky with streaks of weapons fire. The air crackled with ozone and the acrid smell of burning metal. Hours passed in a blur of tactical decisions and narrowly averted disasters. Then, a triumphant shout came over the comm. "We did it!" Marcus exclaimed, his voice ragged. "Primary weapons array is down. But Adam, I took a hit. It's bad." Adam's heart sank, but he pushed the emotion aside. With the Sirath momentarily stalled, he seized the initiative. "All units, this is Porter. Prepare for immediate counterattack. We hit their forward base now, while they're reeling." The surface of Tartarus had never truly recovered from the Iconian bioweapon. As Adam led his forces across the blasted landscape, writhing flora and crystalline formations created an alien obstacle course. Sirath cyborg warriors emerged from their fortifications, their augmented limbs whirring as they opened fire. "Jack, now!" Adam shouted as they closed with the enemy. A series of electromagnetic pulses rippled across the battlefield. Sirath warriors stumbled, their cybernetic enhancements temporarily offline. Human soldiers pressed the advantage, plasma rifles cutting through the suddenly vulnerable aliens. For a moment, victory seemed within reach. Then, a bone-chilling screech split the air. From the Sirath lines emerged things. Monstrous creations that defied description, part machine, part flesh, all nightmare. They tore through the human forces with terrifying speed and strength. "Fall back!" Adam roared, firing his rifle at a creature with too many limbs and not enough skin. Back to the city perimeter! The retreat was costly. Adam watched good men and women fall to the Sirith abominations, their screams haunting him as he directed the desperate fighting withdrawal. Finally, they reached the towering walls of New Tartarus City, blast doors slamming shut behind the last stragglers. In the command center, Adam faced his battered leadership team. Jack nursed a nasty gash on his arm, while Altair's normally stoic features were drawn with worry. "Options?" Adam demanded. Jack cleared his throat. "There might be one. The resonance chambers we found in the alien facility. If we can channel enough power." Adam nodded, understanding dawning. "A weapon, to take out their flagship." As they raced to bring the ancient technology online, the Sirath monstrosities hurled themselves at the city walls. Adam watched from a security feed as the outer defenses began to buckle. "How much longer?" he shouted to Jack. "Almost there," Jack called back, his fingers flying over the controls. The feed showed a breach in the perimeter, Sirath horrors pouring through. Adam's hand hovered over the evacuation alarm, knowing what activating it would mean. Then, with a sound like reality tearing, a brilliant beam of energy lanced from the heart of the city. It struck the Sirath flagship dead center, punching through shields and armor alike. The massive vessel shuddered, its reactor going critical. Adam looked at the devastation around him, at the approaching wave of monsters, and at the ship that would soon become a miniature sun. He took a deep breath and hit the alarm. "This is Adam Porter to all citizens of New Tartarus City. Evacuate immediately. I repeat, evacuate immediately." As klaxons wailed and people streamed towards the emergency shelters, Adam turned to his team. "Let's move. We've got..." Adam's fingers flew across the control panel, initiating the citywide evacuation protocol. Klaxons blared as his voice echoed through every comm channel. "All citizens, this is not a drill. Evacuate immediately to the underground shelters. I repeat, evacuate immediately." The Sirath flagship loomed overhead, its damaged hull pulsing with unstable energy. Adam watched the feeds as panicked colonists streamed towards the subterranean access points. Plasma bolts rained down, punctuating the chaos with explosions and screams. "Jack, status on the evac?" Adam barked into his comm. 70% clear, Jack's voice crackled back. "But we're running out of time." A violent tremor shook the command center. Adam stumbled, catching himself on a nearby console. Through the view screen, he saw the Sirath vessel's reactor core begin to rupture, tendrils of blinding energy arcing outward. "We need to go, now!" Adam shouted, sprinting for the exit. He and his team raced through the buckling corridors of New Tartarus City, dodging falling debris. They reached the main evacuation tunnel just as the world above them erupted in a cataclysm of light and sound. The shockwave hit like a hammer blow, sending them tumbling into the darkness. Adam's ears rang as he scrambled to his feet, urging the last stragglers deeper into the tunnel. Behind them, the access hatch groaned and twisted, sealing shut under the strain. For hours, they descended through winding passages, the sounds of destruction growing fainter. Finally, they emerged into a vast cavern where thousands of shell-shocked colonists huddled in the dim emergency lighting. Adam climbed atop a supply crate, addressing the crowd. "I know we've lost much today, but we're alive, and as long as we're alive, we have hope. We've survived in these tunnels before, and we'll do it again." A muffled boom shook dust from the cavern ceiling. All eyes turned upward as the reality of their situation sank in. New Tartarus City, their hard-won home, was gone. Grief and anger rippled through the assembled colonists. Adam saw fists clenching, tears flowing freely. He felt the weight of their loss, but knew they couldn't afford to wallow. "Jack," he called out, "pull up the old survey maps. We need to find defensible ground deeper in the network." As Jack worked, Adam organized teams to distribute supplies and tend to the wounded. Hours blended into days as they pushed further into unmapped tunnels. They encountered their first Sirith patrol in a narrow passage. Adam's squad took point, their weapons cutting through the cyborg warriors with practiced efficiency. but each skirmish left them with fewer supplies and more wounded. After a week of grueling progress, Adam's scouts reported back with news that sent a surge of hope through the weary convoy. They'd found a massive grotto, protected by natural stone formations and easily defensible choke points. As the colonists filed into their new sanctuary, Adam convened an emergency war council. Marcus Trent, his arm in a sling, joined them via hollow projection. "What's the situation topside?" Adam asked. Marcus's hologram flickered. "Bad. The Cyrith lost their flagship, but they're regrouping, and our long-range sensors show reinforcements inbound. We're looking at total annihilation unless we find a way to drive them off-world." Silence fell over the group. Adam's mind raced, considering and discarding options. Then he remembered the alien facility they'd discovered during their first exile underground. "The resonance chambers," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "If we can amplify their output, trigger a planet-wide tectonic event." Jack's eyes widened as he grasped the implications. "It would render the surface uninhabitable, force a Serath retreat." "And trap us down here permanently," someone else added. Adam nodded grimly. "I know it's an impossible choice, but it might be our only chance for survival." The council erupted into heated debate. Some argued for surrender, others for a suicidal last stand. Adam listened, weighing each option carefully. In the end, he made the call. "Prep the resonance chambers. We're going to burn our world to save our people." As Jack coordinated the activation sequence, Adam addressed the colonists one final time. He didn't sugarcoat the situation or offer false hope. Instead, he spoke of resilience, of the human spirit that had carried them this far. "Today, we choose exile to preserve our future," he said, his voice echoing through the cavern. "It won't be easy, but together, we'll forge a new path in the depths of Tartarus." With heavy hearts, they sealed themselves into the control room. Jack's fingers danced across the alien console, initiating the cataclysm that would reshape their world forever. The first tremors started small, a faint vibration through the stone. Then the quakes intensified, the very bedrock of Tartarus seeming to cry out in agony. Adam watched the sensor feeds as massive fissures tore across continents, swallowing Cyrath war machines whole. Hours passed, each tremor threatening to collapse their underground haven. When the shaking finally subsided, an eerie quiet settled over them. Adam stepped out of the control room, his legs unsteady. The air tasted stale, recyclers straining to compensate for the changed atmospheric conditions. He knew that above them, Tartarus had been transformed into an airless, irradiated wasteland. He turned to face his people, seeing the mix of fear and tenacity in their eyes. There would be no going back, no rescue from the stars. They had preserved their freedom, but at a terrible cost. "This is our home now," Adam said softly, gesturing to the vast cavern around them. "Our children will never see the sun, never feel wind on their faces, but they'll be free. And someday, generations from now, our descendants will find a way back to the stars." With those words, the survivors of Tartarus began the long, arduous task of building a new civilization in the lightless depths of their shattered world. Years crawled by in the lightless depths of Tartarus. The once grand cavern that had sheltered the survivors of New Tartarus City now bustled with the rhythms of subterranean life. Hydroponics farms glowed with artificial sunlight, their nutrient-rich waters nourishing rows of precious crops. Geothermal vents hissed and steamed, providing heat and power to the cramped living quarters carved into the rock. Adam Porter stood at the edge of a narrow walkway, surveying the hive of activity below. His face, once youthful, now bore the deep lines of a man who had shouldered impossible burdens. He watched as colonists scurried about their daily tasks, their eyes hollow but determined. A violent cough echoed through the cavern, followed by a series of wet, hacking sounds. Adam's head snapped towards the source, his stomach clenching. Another one. "Jack!" he called out, his voice tight with urgency. "We've got another case in Sector 7. Jack Hawkins appeared at his side, datapad in hand. "That's the third one this week," he muttered, punching in coordinates. We need to move fast. They raced through winding tunnels, the air growing thick with fear and desperation. As they approached Sector 7, the sounds of panic grew louder. A small crowd had gathered outside a sealed habitat unit, faces pale in the dim light. Adam pushed through, his heart pounding. Inside, a man writhed on the floor, his skin rippling and bulging, as if something alive squirmed beneath it. Metal protrusions burst from his flesh, gleaming wickedly in the harsh light. "Get him to quarantine," Adam ordered, his voice steady despite the horror twisting his gut. "Now!" As medtechs in sealed suits rushed to contain the afflicted colonist, Adam turned to Jack. "We need answers. Fast!" They descended deeper into the alien facility, its ancient databanks humming with secrets. Adam's fingers flew across holographic interfaces, decoding encrypted files as Jack pored over sensor readings. "Adam," Jack called out, his voice wavering, "you need to see this." On the screen before them, grotesque images flickered to life. Serath scientists, their cybernetic bodies pulsing with alien technology, loomed over writhing test subjects. The footage showed organic matter being forcibly reshaped, assimilated into mechanical frameworks. "It's not just a virus," Jack whispered. "It's evolution, forced, accelerated evolution." Adam's fists clenched at his sides. "They're trying to turn us into them." A shadow fell across the console. Altair, the enigmatic Iconian ally, stepped forward. His otherworldly eyes gleamed with recognition and dread. "I've seen this before," he intoned, his voice carrying the weight of ancient wisdom. "A nanotech virus, designed to rewrite organic matter at its most fundamental level. It seeks to create perfection." Adam's blood ran cold. Perfection? This is an abomination. As they raced to synthesize an antivirus, the cries of the afflicted echoed through the vents. Adam stood before a sealed bulkhead, listening to the inhuman sounds from within. Friends, family, all lost to this monstrous plague. With a heavy heart, he initiated the quarantine protocols. Massive doors slammed shut, sealing off entire sections of their underground home. The anguished wails of the damned faded to a muffled chorus of despair. Days blurred into weeks as Adam fought to hold the remnants of his people together. Whispers of dissent grew louder, questioning his harsh measures and the toll they were taking. In the command center, tensions finally boiled over. Jack confronted Adam, his eyes blazing with frustration. "We can't keep going like this," Jack shouted. "People are scared, Adam. They're losing hope." Adam whirled on him, years of pent-up rage and grief spilling out. "You think I don't know that? Every decision I make, every life I condemn, it haunts me. But what choice do we have?" "We survive," Jack argued. "That's all we can do." Adam's laugh was bitter, hollow. "Survive? For what? So the Sci-Fi can finish what they started? No. We end this. We find a way to wipe them out, once and for all." Jack recoiled, shock etched across his features. "Genocide? Adam, listen to yourself!" But Adam was beyond reason. He gestured wildly at the monitors, showing the ravaged surface of Tartarus. "Look at what they've done to our world. There's nothing left up there but death. And down here, we're just delaying the inevitable." The confrontation was cut short by alarms blaring throughout the complex. A group of colonists, driven to desperation, had seized a weapons cache and were attempting to flee deeper into the unexplored tunnels. Chaos erupted in the cramped corridors as Adam's loyalists clashed with the would-be deserters. Plasma bolts seared the air, the acrid smell of ozone mixing with the coppery tang of blood. In the midst of the fray, Marcus Trent pushed through the crowd, his voice rising above the din. "Stop this madness. We're all that's left of humanity." A stray shot caught Marcus in the chest. He crumpled to the ground, crimson blooming across his tunic. Adam rushed to his side, cradling his old friend as life ebbed away. Marcus gripped Adam's arm, his eyes locked onto his leader's face. "Promise me," he gasped. "Don't let hate consume you. Be the man they need you to be." As Marcus's hand went limp, something inside Adam shattered. The weight of all he had lost, all he had sacrificed, threatened to crush him entirely. In the aftermath of the bloodshed, Adam stood before the surviving colonists. Their faces were gaunt, haunted by loss and fear. He felt the judgment in their stares, the wavering of their faith. "We can't stay here," he announced, his voice hoarse. "There's nothing left for us but ghosts and regrets. We push on deeper into the unknown. We find a new beginning." Jack stepped forward, concern etched across his features. "Adam, we don't know what's down there. The risks are better than slowly dying here." Adam cut him off. He turned back to the crowd, seeing a flicker of hope rekindling in their eyes. "Who's with me?" One by one, hands raised. The faithful gathered supplies, readying themselves for a journey into the eternal night of Tartarus's depths. As Adam led them into the yawning darkness of unexplored tunnels, he felt the weight of Marcus's final words. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with danger. But deep in his heart, a small flame of hope refused to die. They marched on, their footsteps echoing through the cavernous expanse. Adam's eyes scanned the shadows, searching for any sign of a new.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.